Peace and welcome to the culture right here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. First, we've got a great show for you, a lot to talk about. First and foremost, let's talk about the mysterious disappearance and reappearance of Carlee Russell. We'll bring you the latest details in that case. Also, we got to talk about how HBCUs are expecting more applicants after the major Supreme Court decision, and what does that look like for our Black colleges and universities. Later on, we're going to talk about men, women, and fame. Is today's man too insecure? We'll have that discussion and a whole lot more, so stay with us. It's all happening on today's edition of The Culture on the Black Star Network. Let's go. Peace and welcome to the culture here on the Black Star Network, folks, and welcome. Happy Wednesday. Thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the conversation. Folks, let's jump right into it. I got a power-packed show for you, and I don't want to waste any time, so let's jump into it. And of course, today is Wednesday, so we are joined by my sister from another mother, Suzette Speaks. She's an attorney. She is a host of the Suzette Speaks Show on YouTube. You can follow her on all social media platforms because she does big things, continuing to talk about everything from law to politics to the culture.
Hey.
Suzette, happy Wednesday. How you feeling?
Here. Thank you, Farajii.
Suzette, you looking all different and bright and stuff like that. It must be that Florida sun that's down there, right?
Is that Florida heat? New location today, but same great conversation.
Absolutely. All right, Suzette, let's talk about this first conversation, this first story, which I really have been following, but then it just got super, super weird. And I don't know what to really make of it. I'm speaking of the story about the sister from Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, Carlee Russell, who was considered to be missing, to have disappeared. Her mother believes she was abducted, and for 49 hours, folks did not know where Carlee Russell was, as she was supposed to be coming home from work. She said she was going to make a few stops, but then she had made a call about seeing a toddler walking on the side of an interstate, and then that's where things get a little fuzzy. 49 hours later, she ends up walking back to her family's home, being safe and sound. But the question still remains, what happened to Carlee Russell? How did she disappear and reappear and during that 2-day time period? Talk to me, Suzette. What do you make of this case here?
Well, this case, and good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. This has been one of the most harrowing cases that we have seen in recent history, where a missing person who happens to be a Black woman has received the utmost attention through social media. This story hit home, I think, for many of us who see ourselves when we see these types of missing persons reports. This one was really sensitive because I think initially, Farajii, even myself, I hesitated to do a story myself on my own YouTube channel about it because it was just so extraordinary for a young woman. According to the facts that we've had, and the facts have kind of been shuffling from the last 72 hours. Since last Thursday, made a call to 911 that she saw there in Alabama, a young toddler walking on the highway. She says she's going to stop tells the 911 operator that she's going to stop to help the child. Then apparently, based on the facts that we've had released up until this time, she calls her sister-in-law or a relative and tells her the same thing. What we know is that there has been traffic video or video from that highway now released that doesn't seem to show a child. And what ends up being even more of a mystery is when police arrive on that scene 5 minutes later, they find only her wig, her purse, and personal items strewn on the highway and no sign of Carlee. Fast forward 48 hours later, we get this report that she has now returned home. And of course, many of us who are, rejoicing over this fact still are left with questions as to where has she been. So far as of this show, there has not been a lot of information released by the police reports or police and officials who are working on the case, but there's a lot of rumor and a lot of innuendo about what may have precipitated during those 48 hours. So I think we have to be very careful before we jump to conclusions and render judgment. Of course, this again was such a sweeping case for social media, especially in Black spaces where we were very much, paying attention so strongly to what exactly might have happened to her. And of course, there was speculation about possible human trafficking and whether maybe a child was used to lure her for human trafficking or sex trafficking purposes. But we just don't know. There's a lot of questions still. The family has made a couple of statements. Her boyfriend, or some are saying ex-boyfriend, has made a statement via Instagram, and they are rejoicing that she's home. But there's still a lot of questions hanging over this case, Farajii.
There are a lot of questions. Let me just share with some of the reports that have come out around this case, Suzette. Let's check in with CNN on this piece, where the police have announced that they shared new details on this case about Carlee Nicole Russell after that call to 911 to report a toddler walking alone on the side of the highway. Here's what CNN reported. As investigators, and I'm looking at the second line, folks, as investigators try to piece together what happened in the approximately 49 hours Russell was missing, her mother has said she believes her daughter was abducted. Her mother said, quote, Carlee has given detectives her statement and hopefully they are pursuing her abductor. This is from Talitha Robinson Russell, said to a statement to CNN affiliate WBRC. She said she's definitely fought for her life. There were moments when she physically had to fight for her life, and there were moments when she had to mentally fight for her life. This is what she said on the Today Show. Investigators have not indicated whether they suspect foul play in Russell's disappearance or released details of her initial statement to police. Very quickly, before we take our first pause, Suzette, it doesn't connect the dots for me. Her mom thinks one thing, the police not disputing exactly what her mother is putting out there, but they're not confirming it either. So in a case like this, and her mother said that Carlee has talked to the detectives, but some things, the detectives are not releasing certain information. As an attorney, what does that speak? What does that say to you? Is that say that the police, that this may open up the conversation to the mishandling of this case, or police are still not sure, they don't believe her? What does that say to you?
There are so many questions swirling around what you're pointing out, to the fact that, and again, this is purely speculation. We have to wait until we get authorities' comments on this. But if there was an attacker, if there was somebody who was at large, many people on social media and just throughout our news spaces are speculating, wouldn't the police have already made statements? Wouldn't the police have already put out a profile or said to be on the lookout or to warn the public if something like this was in fact what had happened? We just don't know. So I think that's what has raised the curiosity and speculation around this story. For us not to have any answers this far into the time period after she has already returned home, it just leaves us feeling kind of uncertain about what actually happened. Again, we prayed for her return. And again, we empathize with any family that experiences that type of disappearance and that, shock to their lives. But now that she's home, I think many of us who were vested in the story, myself included, want a little bit more clarity as to why, she disappeared and why we don't have a lot of the information coming out forthrightly. I don't say that, she's not to be believed. There's, all of this is alleged in terms of what may have happened. Again, there's been some leaks out of their police departments. Again, we don't want to dabble in rumor and speculation here, but it does raise your eyebrows and you want to know more. And it seems unusual that the police have not made any more direct statements thus far as to what exactly happened to her during the 48 hours where she had disappeared.
Absolutely. Real Brooklyn, you checked in. You said that whole story just seems a little strange. Not sure what to believe. I guess everyone will have to wait until all the facts are told. This is the kind of story that will create so much opinions. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Look, we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, we're going to talk a little bit more about this crew. I want to get your take on this as we're talking about the mysterious disappearance and reappearance of our sister Carlee Russell. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig? When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Folks, welcome back to the show. We have been talking about the mysterious disappearance and reappearance of the Alabama woman, Carlee Russell, Khalifa Carlee Russell, as she has returned home safe and sound, but there are still a lot of questions about what happened over the past 49 hours that she was missing. The police, of course, are still investigating this very, very interesting, mysterious case about a woman who said she saw a child on the side of an interstate. She made a call to 911 and letting them know about the situation and stating that she was planning to intervene. When the police showed up, she was missing herself and no child was there to be found. So there are still a lot of questions. I want to bring my sister Suzette back into the frame here as we talk about this, because the other part of what the mother said, I don't want to kind of overlook. She said Carlee had to fight for her life, which means to me, I mean, a mother would know her child and the ordeal that her child would go through. A mother wouldn't just say that just happenstance or just out of nowhere. So what it means to me is that whatever happened, Carlee, quote unquote, may have escaped something or someone in order to return home safely back on foot. And that sounds probable to me, Suzette. That sounds realistic. Now, I don't think that the mother just would say something like that. She had to fight physically and mentally. But if you're down or if you're missing for 49 hours and somebody says that about your return, that right there is a huge indicator to me that you may have just escaped a very tragic fate. Am I wrong in thinking that, you think?
No, you're not, because again, usually police don't even move on a missing person until about 48 hours, right? Because adults can leave their circumstances and not, necessarily have been abducted. They tend to wait to make sure the person didn't leave on their own volition. And that's the real question here. As we've seen with the parent statement, they've been thankful and grateful for all those who have supported and come out and tried to bring awareness to this case, which again, it took over social media. I was watching, from several channels, from an attorney Crump's Instagram to Joyanne Reed of MSNBC's Instagram, and all of us, I shared it tens of times just in my timeline so that people could gain awareness. And Farajii, if it's not something that happened, and again, that's if, it puts a damper, to say the least. It damages our ability in the Black community to be taken seriously when there are missing Black women in specific. We know that we tend to have higher rates of disappearance along with our indigenous brothers and sisters, and people really pay attention. We are kind of, the throwaways, if you will, of the missing persons hype when it comes to the news coverage and getting it on national news, etc. But this case was different. We saw it on national news. So what has happened to her, or what may have happened to her, is important, and we need answers. It's really sad that we can't right now have any ability to say for sure what exactly happened this far out from her recovery. I understand there are mental health considerations. I understand there are physical health considerations, but I hope that when we do get the presser from the police department there in Alabama, we get some concrete answers, because again, it's not that she may have done something, but we just don't know. And again, the parent statements for me are very vague, and so are the boyfriend statements, etc. We have not gotten any more clarity as to what may have happened. And so I hope we get some real facts and real information very soon.
I'm glad that you brought up the mental health piece, because I think that is certainly maybe a big factor in this case. And Robin Welch, one of our crew members, she brought the same point up too. She said, do anyone know if there were mental illness professionals called so that they can ensure that she's okay mentally, or maybe a mental breakdown, which happens. There was a case, and this case is still has reverberations here in Los Angeles, where a woman who experienced some mental health issues ended up, taking her car and putting her foot on the gas and running through a major intersection in South Los Angeles. She killed 5 people in the process of that. And so this is a Black woman. She was a professional and all of those things, but she suffered, I think, either from like a schizophrenia or bipolar disorder. And people have, they didn't really know what to make of the situation. When she came to, she didn't know what happened. She essentially said that she blacked out, but she was arrested. So when we hear these type of cases, a case like the Carlee Russell case, I'm not ruling out mental health. I'm not ruling out that something could have happened. Here's the other part of that, and Robin, I appreciate you for bringing that piece up too. People are saying that if she's found lying, Suzette, that is going to create even more such a drama and create a greater stigma, and put certainly a bad light on the larger piece of Black women and Black people going missing. That Black Twitter is not, Lana checked in and said Black Twitter is not going to be happy, essentially. So how much of that, this is social media, we know how that goes, but I'm just wondering, do you think that could be something, a possibility of happening?
That this is a real concern of ours, because again, all of us who were so vested in what exactly happened to this young lady, again, the posting, the reposting, I nearly did my own YouTube show, and something in my spirit was like, wait and see, because again, it was so harrowing to think who wouldn't stop on the side of the road for a child. And if this was a part of a scheme that we should, as a country, as the public, be aware of, that now people are using children on the side of the road to get people to get out their cars so they can abduct them, it is quite frightening. So the prospect that this was in fact some kind of like trafficking, it was really kind of mind-blowing for many of us who follow this in the media. So from now on, they have to come correct. They have to come with facts, or else it's going to be very difficult for us to get the coverage we need when there are other Black women in specific who are missing.
Absolutely. Let me go to Aaliyah, NYC. You said parents will always protect the child. I'm just saying. Aaliyah, yeah, pretty much. I think so. I think her mom has gone into protect mode in stating that, you know what I mean? The good thing is that she did give a statement to the police when she did return home. Now, if she was, my question, I guess, from a legal perspective on this is that if a person experiences a trauma situation, a traumatic situation like this, and they give a statement, are they really in the right frame of mind? How much weight does that statement carry considering the traumatic event?
There is a couple layers to this, Farajii, because if this is a made up story, perhaps it can be argued that in fact a crime was committed. And if a crime was committed, then we can go to state of mind and presence of mind and mental health, and whether a person is stable enough to know they have committed a crime. So we don't know, and we don't want to speculate. Again, this is all alleged. We don't know what exactly happened. But to that piece, I've never seen any type of case where somebody was missing, came back, and it has taken another 72 hours for the police to make a direct statement as to where she was and what happened, or to put out a statement about looking for an individual who may or may not be involved. So the fact that none of that is happening, again, the speculation online is rampant as to what other ulterior theories are out there with past relationships, her happening to want to allegedly get back at the boyfriend, or some kind of craziness that people are going into a whole completely different direction with. So they have to clear this up and clear this up quickly. If not, we could be looking at criminal charges if this is found that she, in fact, we don't know, but if it is found that she had orchestrated this of her right mind and of her own, will and volition, she could face possible charges.
Absolutely. Hey, Janelle, I want to thank you for checking in, because you just shared with the crew, the police is doing a news conference at this moment as we're speaking about this case. And Keenan, I don't know if we can, let me know. I'm talking to my producer, Shannon, if we can tap into that at any point, because I would love to kind of see if we can get any new information on this, folks. But we got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue to talk a little bit more about this, Suzette, especially in light of some new information that may be coming from the police this afternoon through that press conference. So, folks, let's continue to be with us. Janelle, I truly, truly appreciate you for keeping us up to date on that. And crew, stay with us. We got a lot to talk about here in this first hour of The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Your money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland@RolandSMartin.com.
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punching!
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, welcome back to the show. We have been talking about the mysterious disappearance and reappearance of Alabama woman Carlee Russell. And I got my sister Suzette Speaks on with me today. And I think Suzette, our illustrious, fantastic team is going to just tap us into the news that's happening right now as the police are giving some more details about this mysterious case. Folks, take a look.
Carlee called a relative after Speed's 911 call remains the only report of a child on the interstate, despite numerous vehicles passing through the area at that time. No one has called to report that a child is missing. The Hoover Police Department did not locate any evidence of a small child walking down the interstate. Data from Carlee's phone, including her Life 360 app, shows that she traveled approximately 600 yards in her vehicle while she was on the phone with 911, stating that she was following a child. 600 yards. That is 6 football fields straight. 600 yards. The Hoover 911 Center received a second call from Carlee's mother, stating that a relative was on the phone with her and they heard Carlee scream, and then they had an open phone line. Hoover police officers arrived on the scene within 5 minutes of being dispatched, and several other officers arrived shortly. They located Carlee's wig and cell phone in the grass near the vehicle. Her purse was located in the front seat of a vehicle with her Apple Watch in the purse. The food she ordered for Tzatziki's was also in the car. The items she purchased from Target, as well as the items taken from her place of employment, were not in the vehicle, nor were they located anywhere around the scene. Hoover police deployed all available assets from the point in the search for Carlee. Additional resources were called in to include our own drone unit, crime scene investigators. Numerous detectives responded to the scene. Throughout the day Friday, officers from surrounded local and federal agencies assisted Hoover police in the search for Carlee Russell. Officers returned to the scene on 459 to conduct a thorough line search for evidence. K-9 teams from the Jefferson County Sheriff's Department responded to check for any sign of Carlee, the child that she claimed to see, and anything else that could be considered evidence in this case. Those searches all turned up empty. Private citizens, including search parties organized by our family, friends, began looking everywhere they could find any trace. These searches took place throughout the day Friday and again on Saturday, yielding nothing. At 10:44 p.m. on July 15th, the Hoover 911 Center receives a call from Carlee's residence stating that she returned home on foot. In subsequent investigations, detectives obtained surveillance footage of Carlee walking down the sidewalk alone prior to arrival at her residence. She was conscious and speaking with paramedics when she was transported to UAB. Detectives were able to obtain a brief statement from her prior to being treated and released. During the statement, she told detectives that while traveling down the interstate, she saw a baby walking down the side of the road and called 911. She stated when she got out of her vehicle to check on the child, a man came out of the trees and mumbled that he was checking on the baby. She claimed that the man then picked her up and she screamed. She stated he then made her go over a fence. She claims he then forced her into a car, and the next thing she remembers is being in the trailer of an 18-wheeler. She stated that the male was with a female. However, she never saw the female, only hearing her voice. She also told detectives she could hear a baby crying. She told detectives the male had orange hair with a big bald spot on the back. She said she was able to escape the 18-wheeler and fled on foot, only to be captured again and then was put in a car. She claimed she was then blindfolded but was not tied up because the captor said they did not want to leave impressions on her wrists. She said that they took her into a house and made her get undressed. She believes they took pictures of her, but she does not remember them having any physical or sexual contact. She stated the next day she woke up and was fed cheese crackers by the female. She said the woman also played with her hair, but could not remember anything else. At some point, she was put back in a vehicle she claims was able to escape while it was in the West Hoover area. She told detectives she ran through lots of woods until she came out near her residence. During this interview, detectives noted that Carlee had a small injury to her lip, and she claimed that her head was hurting. She also had a tear in her shirt. Detectives also noted that she had $107 cash in her right sock. Out of respect for Carlee and her family, detectives did not press for additional information in this interview and made plans to speak with her in detail after giving her time to rest. Detectives continue analyzing data from Carlee's cell phone that was left behind at the scene. We enlisted the help of the United States Secret Service in conducting this analysis. Part of what data includes several internet searches in the days leading up to their disappearance that I think are very relevant to this case. On July 11th at 7:30 a.m., the term, "Do you have to pay for an Amber Alert?" was searched. On July 13th at 1:03 a.m., the day of her disappearance, the term, "How to take money from a register without being caught," was searched. On July 13th at 2:13 a.m., the day of her disappearance, the term Birmingham bus station was searched. On July 13th, 2:35 a.m., a search for a one-way bus ticket from Birmingham to Nashville was conducted with a departure date of July 13th. On July 13th at 12:10 p.m., a search for the movie Taken, a film about abduction, was conducted. There were two searches related to Amber Alerts on a computer at Carlee's place of employment, including one regarding the maximum age of an Amber Alert. There were other searches on Carlee's phone that appeared to shed some light on her mindset, but out of respect for her privacy, we will not be releasing the content of those searches at this time. We've asked to interview Carlee a second time, but have not been granted that request. As you can see, there are many questions left to be answered, but only Carlee can provide those answers. What we can say is that we've been unable to verify most of Carlee's initial statement made to investigators, and we have no reason to believe that there is a threat to the public safety related to this particular case. Thank you very much.
With that, I'll open the floor for questions. Please raise your hand and I'll call on you. Cheryl.
Chief, do you expect any charges against Carlee Russell in connection with the disappearance and in connection with what was taken from the Woodhouse file?
Right now, our focus is to determine those 49 hours, so the investigation continues. So to be perfectly honest with you, that hasn't even entered our mind or been discussed.
One more question. Is it surprising to you that the family has not been cooperative in returning to be questioned?
Well, I think the family has stated to us that they didn't think that in her mental state right now, because of trauma of the incident, that she's not ready to talk, is what we've been told.
Sure, sir. Yeah. Question for Chief. You stated that the abductor had orange hair. Was this abductor black male? Was it female, black female, white female?
I believe it's a white male. Am I correct by saying that? Was it ever? Yeah, white male.
Is this alleged abductor yet on loose in the Hoover area?
Don't believe so.
Chief Brittany June, WBRC, has a toxicology report been done, and were any drugs or illegal substances found in her system?
We have no report of that.
Is any indication of mental illness in this case?
Not that I'm aware of.
There's been a concern in the community that if this turned out not to be a true story, that the next time a young woman of color was missing, that it might not be taken seriously. How would you respond to that?
I'd respond to say that we investigate every crime to the fullest, just like we have this one.
Was she traveling with anyone since, excuse me, was she traveling with anyone since the time she disappeared, to your knowledge?
And not to my knowledge.
Chief, I know you said you weren't able to verify a lot of aspects of the story. Where do you think she went, and how would you characterize what happened here?
You know, that's the $100 question. You know, we pretty much know exactly what took place from the time she left work until she got on the 911 call, and we can see getting out of the car on the interstate from that footage. And after that, I think she only knows. We don't know.
One quick follow-up. Her parents. Did you speak with Carlee's parents? And why do you think it is they were so adamant that there was an abductor?
Yeah, I think parents are believing what their daughter's saying, and we've had a very good rapport with the parents, met with them on several occasions. I've talked to them today a few times, and to make them understand that we're under pressure from our community, not only in our community of the state, but nationally when the story hit. And I just wanted them to understand that today we were going to have a press conference, and what we were going to detail today are facts. And everything that I've told you today is actual facts. It's not innuendos. It's not what I think. It's not what these detectives think. It is the factual information that we have.
How much time do you think you'll give the family before going back to Carlee for sentencing?
Well, I think our detectives have talked to the parents, and we're ready. We're ready to talk as soon as she's ready. So, you know, she called right now. We're ready.
One word to describe what went on. What would that be?
How about unknown? You know, we know the facts that we have. Everything else is unknown at this time.
What have the past few days been like for you, your department? This has been a stressful search, hasn't it?
Well, absolutely. And again, the focus of the investigation that Thursday when she went missing, of course, the focus was to get Carlee home. That's what we want all. We wanted her safe and sound. And that's all happened. And then, of course, this has gotten to be not only a local state story, but a national story. So, you know, it is. It's a lot of stress on everyone in the Hoover Police Department, and the mayor, to every citizen here. We want to know the truth.
As you stand here, are you frustrated?
I wouldn't say I'm frustrated. I'm very happy that Carlee's home. That was the main ingredient here. And then we'll figure it out. I promise you that. We'll end up figuring it out.
Any idea about the number of manpower hours or the expense of the drones and all the rest of the search that might cost the city and the state and federal government?
Yeah, we haven't had time to consider that, but it's you know, again, these detectives that are here, this is just a small group of people that have been associated with this case. We have put every available resource that we have on this case because we wanted to make sure that we found out everything. We wanted to get her home, and we have.
Chief, is there any prior indication of mental health problems?
Not that I'm aware of.
Can you just expand on the people from the state, federal resources brought in? What were they doing exactly as you all were searching for her? Can you just expand on that?
Sure. A lot of the from the FBI side, several agents helping us interview. I mean, as you well know, in a case like this, especially when it goes national, we got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of calls, and when you get
I'm just jumping in very quickly here, Suzette, because there are a lot of questions. And folks, there are folks in the chat, the crew members, who are like, this doesn't cut the mustard here about what could happen. And even you said, Suzette, and I was just taking a look, you said that the internet searches are damning. The internet searches
I'm looking at it. Yes, sir. I just listening to this, and I'm going to go back and listen to the 911 call myself and what other information that are factual that are right now available to us, because right now what he shared, and if they were made on her devices, and I see Karina Denise, I see you, and I see you, Janelle Fields, and others in the chat saying that we don't know that she looked up these search terms. But again, if they're tied to any device that she owns, it does not look good or does not bode well as far as who possibly searched for those things if they were made from your personal cell phone or your personal computer. The fact that she has not made any additional statements to law enforcement, pushing their hand, forcing their hand to come out and basically kind of publicly name and shame the fact that they can't go any further because she has not provided them with any more information, also to me is something of it's not incrimination in itself, but it doesn't it allows for much more speculation as to why you wouldn't make statements. If I were her, I would lawyer up immediately, because if you're not making statements and if they want more information from you and you have not given them any details outside of what we've just heard, who the person was, what they look like, that initial statement being all that they wanted. The police work is slow, and they oftentimes have to go back again and see what you say a second time and see how you characterize what happened a third time, et cetera, et cetera. So if she's not giving any further statements, there may be a mental health issue. There may be other challenges in terms of her mindset or mental state. So we really just don't know. But to me, the tone of this is a law enforcement agency that seems to be pressuring her to come back to them, either for another interview, either with more information, because they need to piece together what she said happened, and they can't do it so far with the information that she's provided. It does not mean that she's guilty. It does not mean that in any way that she has fabricated this. But what they've outlined just now in that press conference is to allude to the fact that they don't know anything else that is in the realm of possibility. And it seems as if, based on just the internet searches and where her car was tracked, et cetera, from when she made the call, that there are more questions about whether or not she, in fact, was telling the truth. They have not outright called her a liar. They have not said that she had fabricated it. But this is a public pressure move to say the ball is in y'all's court. People are going to think the police are not doing their job. We're doing our job. You are refusing to help us or help us in the method that we want or need for us to really put the pieces of this puzzle together. So this is a very public chess move to say, now we've let the public know this is what we know. These are the facts that you provided as up to now, but we still can't corroborate what in fact you have provided. We need to speak with you more. And apparently, according to the statement, she's refusing at this time. So there again, it does not incriminate her per se, but the public pressure element now with this statement is going to make it a lot more difficult for her. And I think, again, she needs to be very careful with her next steps. She needs to find legal representation to help guide her so that what she does say from this point on doesn't incriminate her if it shouldn't.
All right. One of the big things is the simple fact. Well, you know what? Let me take a quick pause because we haven't taken a break yet. So let me take a quick pause and let's continue to have the conversation on the other side. Folks, we have been just heard the breaking news, the press conference from Hoover Police Department Chief, where Carlee Wilson had a situation. Something happened over the past 49 hours where our sister had returned home, had disappeared and reappeared. She is back with her family, safe and sound. The question is, what has happened? And what you just saw was the chief of police down in Hoover, Alabama, just laying out the facts of the case, what they have already discovered, what can be proven, and now putting it out there that Carlee needs to have another conversation with police to fill in the gaps of what happened. And why she went missing for nearly for those 49 hours. So we're going to continue the conversation on the other side. Crew members, I know y'all have been checking in, and many of you have been saying, we don't know about this one, but we will continue to have the discussion. Stay with us. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches. I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank the voice of Black America rolling.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
I'm Farajii Muhammad, live from LA. And this is The Culture. The Culture is a two-way conversation. You and me. We talk about the stories, politics, the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. So join our community every day at 3 p.m. Eastern and let your voice be heard. Hey, we're all in this together. So let's talk about it and see what kind of trouble we can get into. It's The Culture, weekdays at 3, only on the Black Star Network.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
Folks, welcome back to the show. Welcome to The Culture here on the Black Star Network. I'm your host, Farajii Muhammad. The first hour, folks, if you're just tuning in, we have been talking about the mysterious disappearance and reappearance of Alabama woman Carlee Russell. This is the black woman that went missing starting on Thursday of last week. She was missing for approximately 49 hours, and then she returned. She was able to walk back home and be safe and sound. Now the police are trying to fill in the gaps as to what happened over those 49 hours. And more importantly, getting some more details from Carlee. Now, the police just held a press conference. The Hoover Police Department just held their press conference just a few moments ago. And folks, I would invite you to check that press conference out on the replay of the show, where they just laid out all of the specifics, the details about the case, from everything from what they have acquired from camera footage to what they've acquired from the data from Carlee's phone and more details, and trying to put the pieces together as to what happened with our sister. Now, Suzette, you've been talking about the fact that she needs to lawyer up, she needs to make sure that she gets the representation. I'm going to have to admit, Suzette, that even though, and I have to say, I've heard many different press conferences, this was probably one of the few press conferences where the questions that I really wanted to ask were actually asked. You know what I mean? It's like, let's look at the tox report. What does that say? Does she have signs of mental health issues? What do you say about that? The big question, if she's found to be lying, will this put a damper on future cases involving missing black women or black men? Like all of these, so big shout out to the real journalists in the room who are asking the important questions at this particular moment. But and I'm looking at, you can look at the details and everybody can be Inspector Gadget and everybody can try to be Sherlock Holmes and trying to figure out, what really happened. But I'm thinking about the implications on the larger conversation about missing people. Even though the chief said that they're going to, their job is to look at every case and every missing case to get people back home, that they're not thinking about that part of the discussion. That's all well and fine, but for the culture, for Black Twitter, for those spaces where Black folks have been advocating and calling for Carlee to come back home, I think there's going to be a different set of conversations that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, there were so many people that were saying, if you know where this woman is, this Black woman is, by all means, help us to find her. And if it comes down to a situation where she's lying, where she had just a breakdown, and one of our crew members brought this up, that, unfortunately, she said, somebody said that they're tired of the fact that when a situation like this happens, that Black women aren't believed. I don't think that it's not that Black women aren't believed because they're Black. I think it's about the fact of what the story is, like what the circumstances are. And it's wrong for us to assume that just because one person lied, that every Black person that goes missing or in some mysterious circumstance is lying too. That's not, I think that's unrealistic. I don't think that's fair either. But it's just sad. I'm kind of like taken aback a little bit to hear these details, from the phone searches to, she was abducted. She was put into an 18-foot trailer. She got out the trailer, ran through that. She was put into a car. She was fed cheese crackers. And it's like, whoa. I'm speaking out loud when she's bad. So I'm just, I'm just kind of sharing.
No, we both are in shock because I don't want to in any way, there is always a presumption of innocence. And I don't want to, based on what we are just reacting in real time to what we just heard. And I have to go back and I was trying to Google and look through, because we're also live here on the show while listening to what's going on and being released. So yes, there are many questions that even now, it seems as if we just do not have the proper answer to, or adequate enough to make a degree of speculative presumption, or to say that it is a fact what happened to her or not. What we're kind of offering is just, again, some food for thought as to, if this were you and your family and something like this had happened and it was so egregious, whether it be a written statement through an attorney, whether it be some sort of other, fact-based communication, because of the national significance of the story, would you not have some degree of respect for, all the people that were vested in making sure your daughter was found, to go beyond we'll release what we can when we can? It's not to say that she, in fact, didn't tell the truth. We're not saying that. We don't know that. But I'm just saying this is a kind of chess move by the police department to come out publicly and say, up to this point, we've only had one opportunity and one statement given to us by Ms. Russell. We need more. And apparently there is some pushback, or they wouldn't have come publicly to basically say, this is what we know, this is all we know, and when she's ready, we'd like to speak to her further. That again sets off little light bulbs in your mind as to, what are they really trying to say here? And if the inference is there that there are facts with which they are not comfortable, or that they cannot corroborate to such a degree to say, okay, the public, we know where this 18-wheeler is. We know the license plate. If they've probably already looked at all the traffic footage coming up and leaving that area from that night. Oftentimes when they're coming out publicly, they've already done some kind of cross-checking as well. So it's just, again, it's too much to say that she is not, in fact, to be believed, but there's a lot more cloud over what she has claimed has happened so far, based on what the police have just shared, and from their point of view, what still needs to be answered. It's not to say that we just don't know, because we don't, but based on what their version of the facts are, they still have too many questions to come to a conclusion that they need to warn the public. Should public be worried about somebody abducting people? His answer was, we don't believe so. So that lets you know where his mindset is based on what he's seen in the searches, based on where the car was, et cetera, et cetera. No other reports apparently from that night of a child on the highway. Was she the only person that could have seen that child? No reports of a child being missing. That doesn't mean anything to me because there are so many abducted children across this world. Trafficking, could have occurred in another
that's
country,
very
and the
real.
child could be here.
Yeah.
So even though they're saying there's no other reports of a child being missing in the area, that doesn't bode, here or there for me. But again, I do think, and I saw your comments, guys, there could be a mental health piece to this. That's my personal speculation. We don't know. But there is a lot more going on than meets the eye. And my mama used to say, where there's smoke, there's fire. So we are waiting for more facts to come out from the family's point of view. We've heard the police now. So it would be up to those who are involved from the family side and from her specific side. I hope she, I can't say make a public statement because I don't know what really happened. And if I was her attorney, I don't know if I would want her to make a public statement at this point, depending on what actually happened or her state of mind at present. So yes,
you know what?
there's still a lot of questions.
Hey, Suzette, let's go in there. I wouldn't, if I was not just her, but if I was any member of her family, not to make any more public statements. Because now you can be seen as an accessory, right? I'm just saying this. If you are covering up, if she is in fact lying about what happened to her, but your mom is out there, your brother, your father's out there, your cousin, your boyfriend, you know what I'm saying? Like somebody that's close to you is out there kind of keeping the lie going. You know what I mean? Like that puts your family into greater jeopardy. Whereas before y'all were victims, now you become perpetrators.
Well, I really believe her family believes her. I believe with the
I mean, I think so too.
They going by what she's telling them. They're like, she was abducted. She fought for her life. But like, if that's your child, you're gonna believe your child. So
here's where the conversation is going to go, though. Here's where the conversation is going to go. And crew, y'all tell me if I'm wrong about this because I don't mind being wrong. But this is where I think the conversation could go. That now it's going to be a situation because her mother put the statement out that she fought for her life and for her mental. She used her, her mental life. Like because she put that statement out, and now we hear the police putting out their statement, putting out their word about what happened, right? And now they'll say they're waiting for Carlee to come back to them. To now. You creating this situation where the mom looks crazy, you know what I'm saying? And black folks gonna be like, oh, of course the mom, we're gonna be on the mom's side. You're gonna have some people on Carlee's side. Then you might even have some people on the police side and say, look, man, I mean, police, yes, we know we have problems, but in this case, I'm riding with the chief on this. And it's gonna create a little situation. And I'm just saying, of course, this won't make or break us as a people. But I think in the space of social media, in the space of where we are in culture, in the space of the conversation about believing black women, in that larger discussion about believing black women, that this is going to be thrown into the mix of things. That's what I see possibly happening. Now I may be wrong, but I see that possibly happening. And you know what? And I'm not throwing shade on this. Let me just say this. I hate to use this example, but I have to keep it real with y'all because y'all family, this is the culture. I'm thinking of Kanye West. Remember Kanye West's story about how he was attacked? Not Kanye, Jesse Smollett, not Kanye. Jesse Smollett.
Okay, I was like, Kanye said that? Okay, Jesse Smollett.
Let me make sure I change that because I don't know about Kanye. Jesse Smollett. I'm thinking of the Jesse Smollett case. That's what came to my mind. It's like, okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of speculation. You got those who are Team Jesse, and then others who are like, nah, bro. And if there's a situation like we still don't know what happened with Jesse Smollett. No, I mean, we really don't know. We may never know what happened with Carlee Russell, unfortunately, right? But I do know that if there's a mental health situation, some families will find, like, those mental health conditions can emerge very later on in life for some people, right? And so if there is a mental health situation, the family might still be trying to figure out or trying to grapple, like, oh my gosh, we didn't know that you had this condition to go this far with it. You know what I mean? I hope I'm making sense here, Suzanne. I'm like you said, I'm processing everything in real time, so y'all getting the raw. I'm trying to understand this, crew.
It's really important that we do point out that there are macro and micro implications of this, because unfortunately, as we've been talking about, when it comes to Black people, one person's behavior is often attributed to the masses, even though we know we're not a monolith and we know that each individual should be held accountable for their individual actions. When it comes to our images, when it comes to what people see on social media, this is the conversation we've been having here. We tend to now have an imprint in the public psyche that says, Black people should not be believed in this type of scenario. It did a lot of damage to the community when Jussie Smollett's story came out, and people were, very much, speculative. The family was like, no, we believe that Jussie got kidnapped. It was so, we couldn't believe that somebody would make that up, that in fact, there could be, some sort of misleading of the public in that, at that level. It just hit home in such a deep way. And again, for someone who had not shown that type of behavior before, we don't know if her family has seen any type of behavior in looking at the mental health piece like this before or not. So looking at that, I do think, unfortunately for us, it does leave a mark in the public psyche, like a strike against us, if you will, of what is supposed to be a quick action in terms of when there is a major issue in our community for someone who looks like us, versus we should wait, and we should, it goes back to even, Farajii, how we think of each other and whether we believe in ourselves. And I can extrapolate it even to like politics and candidates. We don't really too much believe everybody and believe in everybody and their promises. And again,
because you know what you said,
it's a constant narrative that is pushed. Again, this could be 1 in a billion. But it got so much public attention that it is leaving a kind of mark on us in a way.
And look, and here's the thing. I think that some of us, it may be a lot of us, I think people are in that space we don't believe because we've been lied to so much. You know what I'm saying? Like I think Black, I know without a shadow of doubt, crew, y'all can talk to me about this. Without a shadow of doubt, Black people are the most forgiving, sincere. We will believe you till Jesus comes back. You know what I'm saying? Like we go all in. We will ride with you. And I think after a while you get to hear so many lies, whether it's coming from people within the community or people outside of the community, that it's hard to. And I'm gonna keep it real with you, Suzanne. It's hard to believe people sometimes, especially. You like talk about the politician. Let's not even talk about that. You know what I'm saying? But it's because we've been lied to, and we have been, bamboozled and took under worthy circumstances, good names, good causes. And so it really is unfortunate. That's probably part of the trauma that we've experienced, that we don't believe each other because we've been lied to each other so often. And that's part of the healing that we will have to go through as a people, individually and collectively. So I think that's part of it. And social media just amplifies that. You know what I'm saying? Like on social media, you could put out a true statement and people are going to find a way to discredit what you have to say. People listen to this show, watch this platform. Some people will say, yeah, this seems like a trusted source. And other people, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the space of our culture and the way we are when we're processing information, is that we're all trying to figure out what is the standard, like what is the standard bearer of truth in a time when lies are so rampant, right? People looking for the naked truth, but we are appealed and we fall in love with that well-dressed lie. You know what I'm saying? So the naked truth can be standing there like, no, I'm here, right here. But, the well-dressed lie is like, he blinged out. You know what I'm saying? He got the stuff on the wrist and he got something hanging. And that's just unfortunately the culture that we're living in. And that's not just affecting Black people. That's, I think, affecting all of humanity at this point. That lies are told so much in this time, this day and time that we're living in. Damn, it is so hard. And I you run the show, I do a show. It's so hard to try to present certain information to our people without somebody saying, you're lying. That's not true. Because what I saw, what I read, what I heard, and you be like, where you get your information from? We don't want to. It's hard. I think many of us want to believe people, but history and tradition has shown us that it's very hard to believe people nowadays. It's very hard to believe people. Look, I got to take a quick pause. When we come forward, Suzette, I'm going to take some of these comments from the crew. Stay with us, folks. We'll continue to have the conversation and the continuing coverage about our sister Carlee Russell right here on The Culture on the Black Star Network.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol,
we're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance. We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate Black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
For decades, the tobacco industry has deliberately targeted Black communities and kids with marketing for menthol cigarettes. It's had a devastating impact on Black health. Tobacco use claims 45,000 Black lives every year. It's the #1 cause of preventable death. In the 1950s, less than 10% of Black smokers used menthol cigarettes. Today, it's 85%. Menthol cools and numbs the throat, making it easier for kids to start smoking. Menthol also increases addiction, making it harder for smokers to quit. Menthol cigarettes are a big reason why Black Americans have a harder time quitting smoking and die at higher rates from smoking-related diseases like cancer, heart disease, and stroke. It's time to stop Big Tobacco from profiting off Black lives. An FDA ban on menthol cigarettes will improve Black health, save lives, and protect future generations from addiction. Learn more at tobaccofreekids.org/ban menthol.
Folks, welcome back to the show. We've been talking about the mysterious disappearance and reappearance of Carlee Russell, the sister from Alabama that was missing for 49 hours, only to come back home to her family. Now the police have just had a press conference earlier this afternoon. We played for you majority of what that press conference said, what the police chief said in that press conference. But now it opens up a huge, huge Pandora's box about whether Carlee Russell was in fact lying about the situation or her being missing, like trying to connect the dots on this situation. So I've been talking to my sister Suzette, and of course with you, crew, to kind of get your take on this. All right, people have been checking in throughout this whole time. And look, folks, this is the nature of it. Let me tell you, this is the nature of the culture. Sometimes when things happen, you got breaking news stories and all of this stuff, and you just you got to process it. And I think that that's the beauty of having a space like this. And I'm happy that once again, Suzette, you with me, because you can provide so much insight from the legal perspective and understanding how this process works, that we need to have that voice as we look at this situation. But let me just share what folks are saying here as we talk about truth and lies and all of that, because now this is going to be the big talk. Folks, if y'all don't know what's going to be the talk after on social media, this is going to be the talk. Whether Carlee Russell is telling the truth or whether she is lying about what has happened to her. Real Brooklyn, you said my side, your side, truth, and the side we want folks to know. I like it. Can I use that? Yeah, that's what we're looking at. You remember back in the day, Suzette, used to be there was your story, my story, and then there was the truth. It was like the 3 points of what happened in the situation. Now it's like all these other elements. Now they're full.
And the fact we want you to know is that key phrase, real Brooklyn is right. Real Brooklyn is right.
Yeah, absolutely. Red Rum Man, you said Black Twitter will solve this case in the next 24 hours. Maybe.
That I don't mean to laugh, but that's real because we have the internet. The internet is unforgiving. The internet.
And Black Twitter apparently got its own private investigators.
And I don't want to be at the other end of that. But yeah, they're going to find out. It's going to come out, I think, especially because people are in that police department with other facts that the deputy or the spokesperson did not share as of yet. People know more. And again, just what I've seen, speculation on social media about what happened. There's information that's out there that, again, only she can clear up. So we would really want to hear from her so that we can get clarity. And again, innocence is the presumption here. We're not saying that, she is, in fact, fabricated anything. There is no assumption of that at all, presumption of that at all. But with the facts kind of pointing in a direction that don't seem to show that what she said has been able to be substantiated, she alone can help detectives as well as the public understand more of what she says occurred so that things can be corroborated in a way that kind of clears the air and clears her name.
Absolutely. Let me go to Robin. Robin, you said true facts, Blacks forgive everyone, but ourselves and each other, we still need to have her back. Obviously, there's something going on with Carlee. Whites don't care. They always back each other. I'm going to just keep that one right there. Janelle, and I appreciate you, Robin. Janelle, you checked in and said, Farajii, Suzette, I was around during the Tawana Brawley debacle with Reverend Al Sharpton. The mainstream media crucified that girl, and ridiculed our community's concern about her. I remember that. That was the great case back in the 1980s. I was a little boy then in New York City. If y'all remember Tawana Brawley, one of the things that stuck out, this is probably one of the few cases, Suzette, that stuck out for me. And to know that situation didn't go down the way it was reported initially, where this Black woman was raped and beaten by white men, put in the trash can bags, feces was placed on her. I mean, it was a horrific case. All as a child, I remember hearing about this case. Reverend Al Sharpton, some would even go as far as to say Reverend Al Sharpton grew to national prominence from that case.
Absolutely.
Only to find out it didn't happen like that. I don't think this is the... And look, that's not Reverend Al Sharpton's fault. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure he was pissed, to say the least. But when your heart is in the right place to try to help someone, you're not thinking about, whether they're lying or not lying. It's like somebody, giving money to people on the street. Some of us probably will, even go as far as to say, well, what you going to use the money for? Because they say, I'm hungry. You like, oh, no, I'll buy you a sandwich. Because we can't deal with the idea that somebody is going to get something from us for nothing and then lie in our face about the whole thing. So that's how deep the lie goes. Like, it gets under our skin. It disrupts our peace of mind that somebody can straight lie in your face and say, look, I'm hungry, or this happened to me. and then you try to help them, and only for you to find out
it was all a
they were
lie.
lying.
There
It
is
was
a
lying.
Michael. I hate to quote Michael Bolton. Y'all know Michael Bolton. How can I live without you, babe? That kind of song, right? He has a new song that talks about how
You can't make no serious point and then start breaking out and singing Michael Bolton.
I was just about to say that we as a public cannot, I was going somewhere with this, Farajii, that we as a public cannot blame ourselves, and we as human beings cannot blame ourselves for having this nature of care and concern for our fellow human being. We have to make sure we always look at it as an individual who should be held accountable. Of course, when we see Black images and Black faces, oftentimes we end up being the representation for everybody, so it's much more difficult. But for even within ourselves, and we have to plead with others in our communities that this is an individual. You have good, you have bad, you have mental health, you have issues in all communities. They come in all colors. For some reason, ours are kind of amplified in a way that they seem like they're endemic to us, and you know, those Black people are XYZ. But we have to be very careful that we are all humans first. And therefore, the Michael Bolton song, I was getting ready to quote, but I'm going to not quote it. But he said something in a lyric that says, sometimes we do have to learn how to, you know, love as if our heart hasn't been broken before, and care as if, you know, we haven't been damaged before. That is like a human journey that we're all on, whether it's in our personal lives, whether it's in our public spaces, whether it's with the news, looking beyond and seeing the best in someone, looking at someone and forgiving them, even if that is the case in this, again, we don't know, in this particular case, looking at the humanity of the person. You know, we get weary in well-doing, they say. So oftentimes we are hurt and hurt again. So we are, you know, withholding, even again, I'll bring it back to politics, you know, our involvement or caring or watching the news. And we don't want to be a part of any of that, because, you know, that has hurt me before. People have lied to me before, but there are good people. There are people who really are trying to, you know, just do what they can in life, and just happen to, you know, be you know, suffering in this way, whether it's mental health, whether it's other things. If you are going to deceive, you know, people at that level, something else is going on with you. So we just have to remember there's humanity behind the headlines as well. But the Tawana Brawley case, bringing that up, Janelle, is quite significant in our history as Black America. We're still talking about it 30 years later, because it didn't go away. So that's what hurts about this. Wherever the facts go, we will follow them. But we're praying, again, we're always, I was rejoicing genuinely for her safe return. That was my fear, that she would, you know, normally in those type of cases, people are not found alive. So the fact that she came home, we are grateful for that. But also, I think it is owed to the public, those who have been invested in making sure a Black woman's case was not kind of, you know, ignored or swept aside. We were invested in this, and so we should have the answers to clear the air and to at least, you know, let us know the truth. I think that's what we need.
And let me just add to that, to what you just said. We should not beat ourselves up for having a heart.
That's what I was going. Thank you, Farajii. Exactly. You have to still be open.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if people lie to you, if people break your heart in some way, does that mean that you turn into a cold-hearted person? No. You just, I mean, that's just the nature of things, you know, and I know that it hurts. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but, you know, I always think it's interesting that in life, people's like, I'm trying to protect my heart. I don't want to get my heart broken. Your heart can actually take a lot. Your heart can take a lot. And guess what? As long as you are above 6 feet, somebody's going to disappoint you. Somebody's going to break your heart.
Exactly. We have
so
to
why are we
resilient.
trying to run from the inevitable? I mean, does that turn is like, man, if I get my heart broken one more time, and it's like, well, bro, I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm just saying, live a little longer.
Yes, we're all
you know what I'm saying? Like, it's all
and we're all fathomable. We're fallible.
And guess what?
We make mistakes.
We all in need of healing.
Yes.
We're all in need of healing. I know that many of us are healed from things right now, but guess what? We're all still in need of holistic healing. All right, very quickly before we take our next pause, Sandra Frazier, you checked in and said, I believe Carlee. I also believe the government is involved. Wow, okay. We're going to have to see on that one. We're going to have to see on that one, Sandra, if the government is involved on a situation like that, because There are still a lot of unanswered questions. Let me see who else we got here before we take our next pause on this. Because Suzette, I think at this point, for many of us, now that we got this information, to take the time to reflect, to take the time to process everything that has already happened. And now we do, I think to your initial point, the police department has put the ball back into Carlee's court. So the pressure is on for her. I saw a couple of the crew members saying Carlee needs to come out. No, Carlee doesn't need to come out. Carlee needs to have her legal representation to come out and jump in right now. I don't know if it's Attorney Crump. I don't know if it's whoever.
Yeah.
But somebody needs to speak on her behalf and the behalf of her family, because at this point, this is coming across as looking at a woman who may be suffering in some way or just involved in something else, and she doesn't want to let people know what's going on. I'm happy that our sister is home, safe and sound, but I think and she doesn't owe us anything. I don't think she owes us anything. I think she owes her family everything, though, to putting them through that 49-hour ordeal. And if that means that she comes out publicly is one thing, but she doesn't owe Black Twitter. She don't owe Black Star Network. She don't owe Black people. She don't owe Black people, because if we start getting on Carlee Russell for lying, shit. We all owe it.
I want some answers, Farajii. I feel like I need some answers. This is.
You feel like you need some answers?
I do. I was fully vested, and again, all of us who look at this case with the seriousness and the importance, and I shared it near and far, y'all. We got to bring a light to this. I think it was even Tamika Mallory who was like, the same effort and the same energy y'all put into finding the people in the submersible, and you're looking at the Titanic. We spent millions of dollars. That this Black woman needs those type of resources. Again, the damage that it could be doing if it is not an authentic story, I think it has enough national attention now that she kind of does owe some kind of public statement.
Okay. Hey, it's fine. Hey, look, because you know why? Because at the end of the day, I'm gonna keep it real. We're gonna take a break. I don't think we're ever going to hear her say, if she ended up lying. Let me just put that caveat out there. I'm sorry. So what if she never says, I'm sorry?
No, it's going to be a legal matter. It's
going to be a legal matter. But my point is, culturally, life doesn't stop for us. We just take it as, okay, all right, well, bet. It's like that. Okay, we know where she stands on that situation. And we just do the best that we can to ensure that another situation doesn't occur like this. If she is in fact lying, I can't emphasize this enough. If in fact she is lying, then that's another thing. But we will have to wait and see. And Suzette, I'm gonna tell people, y'all check out Suzette to keep tabs on it, because Suzette going.
I'm gonna do a show as soon as I know something. I'm gonna do my own YouTube channel.
And then guess what? She's gonna come back with a culture and do it. Look, I gotta take another quick pause. Stay with us, folks. We got a couple more conversations to have right here on the culture on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
For decades, the tobacco industry has deliberately targeted Black communities and kids with marketing for menthol cigarettes. It's had a devastating impact on Black health. Tobacco use claims 45,000 Black lives every year. It's the #1 cause of preventable death. In the 1950s, less than 10% of Black smokers used menthol cigarettes. Today, it's 85%. Menthol cools and numbs the throat, making it easier for kids to start smoking. Menthol also increases addiction, making it harder for smokers to quit. Menthol cigarettes are a big reason why Black Americans have a harder time quitting smoking and die at higher rates from smoking-related diseases like cancer, heart disease, and stroke. It's time to stop Big Tobacco from profiting off Black lives. An FDA ban on menthol cigarettes will improve Black health, save lives, and protect future generations from addiction. Learn more at tobaccofreekids.org/ban menthol.
When you talk about blackness and what happens in Black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in Black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Checks and money orders go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. Let's talk about something else that is happening across the country, and that is with our HBCUs. Now, since we all know that the Supreme Court of the United States has put out that very, very historic decision about affirmative action, and even that decision about school loans, but more importantly, dealing with affirmative action and the reverberations of that decision on college admissions. Well, HBCUs have decided to step up as much as they can to try to fill in the gaps. There are a number of HBCUs that are expecting more applicants after the SCOTUS decision. Let me share with you the latest from The Root here, folks, where numerous HBCU leaders, take a look at this. Numerous HBCU leaders believe there will be more applications from students in more welcoming environments that will allow open discussions about race during the college admissions process. And the president of Morehouse College in Atlanta, David Thomas, stated, if our applicant pool doubles, we could not double our student body without seriously compromising the quality of our education. Morehouse is expecting student applications to double over the next 3 years. Now, the president of Bowie State University, Anita Hawkins-Bro, said the institution may include an essay component to applications. Morgan State University admissions officials are also considering the use of essay prompts or letters of recommendation to prompt students to talk about race. So these HBCUs, folks, are considering or at least expecting more applications. Let me bring my sister Suzette Speaks back into the conversation about this. Suzette, so this statement made by the president of Morehouse College, Mr. David Thomas, he said, if our applicant pool doubles, we could not double our student body without seriously compromising the quality of our education. That is the statement that stuck out the most to me. Because as much as there's been discussion, Suzette, about, oh, let everybody, push everybody to go to HBCUs. The HBCUs don't have the infrastructure as it currently stands to take in all of these new students. And if a lot of these HBCUs are expecting a double or even triple growth of applications, where are these students going to go?
Yeah, there is going to be a wonderful shift, but a very challenging shift coming up in the next few years when it comes to college admissions. As we discussed here on the show, the Supreme Court has removed race as a factor in any college admissions, whether private or public, across the country. So now, where we've had Black students who may have been overlooked before, but qualified and ready, college ready and competitive, now we are going to see a decrease in the amount of Black and brown students at not only very top tier colleges, but colleges across the country. So here we have HBCUs who are ready, and I'm grateful that they're willing to fill in this gap, because there are going to be students that don't get into colleges, and also very high achieving students who will choose now to go to an HBCU. So HBCUs traditionally have served a gamut of students, right? From the very, very high and competitive, academically speaking student, to the one who's almost using it as a safety net, right? Who could have fell through the cracks due to an inadequate high school and before then educational experience. So they have served as quite kind of a catch-all, if you will, for a long time. So now that we have the likelihood that there's going to be more Black students needing places to attend college, I'm grateful that places like Morehouse and others are preparing for such. But as you stated, when we look at the funding issues that we've had over the years with, all HBCUs not being created equal, when we look at the infrastructure that has been pretty much outdated for decades now in many HBCUs that have not received the grants and received the federal funding and the private support to update their facilities, to update classrooms with technology, et cetera, we're going to see a bigger challenge for them to meet this need. Although it is an opportunity for HBCUs, we also need to put pressure, especially when it comes to federal funding, on helping them to meet the need of students in the very near future.
I'm going to go ahead and say it. I doubt if the HBCUs get the support they need within the next 2 to 3 years.
It's very unlikely.
I doubt it. Especially, like I said, a lot of these HBCUs are in southern parts of the country. A lot of southern states are under Republican control. It's not happening. It's not happening. Now, if we're expecting to wait on a mystery God that somebody is going to some of the benevolence of Republican governors or state lawmakers are going to just release some funds to support Black colleges in the midst of a SCOTUS decision that is based on a conservative, a super conservative majority on the court. Y'all like how I put that? That's not happening.
We're going to have to go to private funding. Remember Lou Rawls?
We're going to have to go to private funding. We're going to have to go to alumni funding.
Same. Alumni, any type of private big business, Black business owners who want to see people. I think they said Diddy promised and delivered. I was at Jackson State. He donated $1 million, I think, when
that ain't nothing, Suzette. I'm sorry. That ain't nothing. I'm so sorry.
But every
that
little
is
bit
nothing, man. I get it, but see, that's the problem. Because see, I mean, look. I know I'm about to lose some friends. I don't want to hear. Look, y'all know how I feel about celebrity culture at this point in my life. I don't want to hear you giving $1 million for this, but you spend $2-3 million just on a vacation.
Well,
and then be like, what? I ain't got the money for that. Because $1 million to an infrastructure, a school that has had dorm issues, maintenance problems, building infrastructure issues, and all of that. I mean, man, that could be spent in the next 2 months. I'm gonna be honest with 2 to 3 months. That could be gone after you pay people and get a couple of repairs done here and there. You know what I'm saying? Like there has to be, and certain people, and I'm saying certain celebrities, if you're going to put some real money behind the situation. Don't be like a man $1 million and then we see you stunting and flossing all over the place. Like it just doesn't vibe well. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not putting it all on that on celebrities either, because I don't expect them to carry us through to the promised land. But what I do expect is for us as people who have gone to HBCUs, who have benefited from HBCUs, whose communities have been uplifted and have been made better because of HBCUs, those are the folks that have to sustain these schools. You know what I'm saying? Like those are the people that should be responsible for the welfare of these schools. you know, and not
I don't care
expecting.
if it comes from a celebrity. I don't care if it comes from small dollar donations.
It could come from anywhere. I'm just saying, like, I don't go. I mean, I'm going, Suzanne. I you know, go ahead.
I mean, there's a lot of celebrities that put people through school that we don't know about. I mean, say what you will about, and
that's true. That's true.
I mean, they have given scholarships. You know, there are people from Nicki Minaj to the infamous Bill Cosby who were putting people through college. Like,
But see, that's a different effort to me.
Pardon me?
I was just saying that's a different effort to me. Putting somebody through school is one thing. Building the school for future generations and creating a sustainable revenue outside of the traditional revenue, that's a whole different thing to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you can put somebody through school.
Because the same tuition fee is going right to the school to pay for the top faculty, to pay for building improvements and capital improvements, to pay for equipment for the sports teams. To me, you can do both, but I hear what you're saying. The ask that is going to come from public folks, Black and white folks, who believe in the mission and know that we have to have a fail-safe campus around this country, or campuses around this country where students can go. Because again, some of the elite and top tier schools are not going to require race or consideration of race, or cannot, by law, require consideration of race. And therefore, we know what has happened in California. We know what has happened in other states where it has already been removed by law. We don't have the same opportunities. And again, I'm tired, and I look back at some of the shows we did, even here, Farajii talking about, you know, Black people only want, you know, no racial considerations except for when it benefits them. The whole reason why this started was that we were overlooked. Qualified, competitive students were overlooked in the first place because of outright racism, or here we go, implicit bias. No one can tell me that implicit bias has since been removed from the system. So I'm grateful that HBCUs, although it is a daunting task for them, because again, money is what they're going to need, as we're pointing out. They can start now with the public outreach when it comes to fundraising, but we all have to step up and put our money where our mouth is and help one school somewhere, wherever you went, or if you didn't go, if you went to a PWI, perhaps consider either contributing to an individual scholarship or scholarship fund, or to the school itself.
Absolutely, absolutely. My guy, Real Brooklyn, you said Farajii witnessed influx of applications lead to administrators modifying some of their admission policies and possibly becoming more selective. Exactly, bro. That's exactly why HBCU presidents are even having this discussion, because they are looking to modify their admission policies. They are trying to, there are a couple of presidents, and I believe it's Mr. David Thomas from Morehouse, he said that we're still going to make students who come from low-income households a priority, right? So you're absolutely right, bro. Like, they're going to have to make some changes, but it's a Band-Aid approach to a wound that's just wide open. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, you can't just be like, all right, we're going to just, you know, just tell everybody to go to an HBCU, and the HBCU just doesn't have what it takes to support all those students. So, but I'm glad that they're having a conversation, Suzette. I'm glad they're at least expecting. Absolutely. Look, we got to take another final pause. When we come back, I don't know, Suzette, if you're part of a sorority, but there's a sorority that is doing something major that is going to set the tone for us to move forward financially. We'll talk a little bit about that on the other side. Stay with me. It's The Culture here on the Black Star Network.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punch! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America.
All momentum we have now We have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
All right, folks, welcome back to the show. I gotta point out, let's bring Suzette back into the frame. Hey, look, Suzette, you know, when we talk about HBCUs, you know, it gets really under people's skin. You know, the crew love HBCUs, so this is always a thing. But I gotta share what Lana had to say very quickly. She said, Farajii, right, he gave, talking about Diddy, he gave $1 million but worth $1 billion. The ancestors didn't expect us to hoard money. Our ancestors moved in community. Puffy little handout is not the expectation of ancestors. Ooh, well. Lana. Woo! But you got to keep it real. Like, I mean, seriously. Hey, look, just the other day, I saw something, and this is true story, folks. Rick Ross talking about he bought a $3 million watch. He from your neck of the woods, Suzette.
Yep.
And he was like, yeah, huh. Talking about $3 million is on his wrist. $3 million.
It's crazy. I know. Yeah, we have enough resources to pull together, as we'll get into this next story, to make the change happen. So yeah, it's not.
So that's exactly. That's why I'm excited, folks, as we in our closing final moments of today's show, which has been fantastic. My sister, man, she always brings it. This big story about AKAs. Now, big shout out to the AKA sorority. If you're an AKA, man, y'all like the Beehive. Y'all like.
Even though I'm wearing pink, I am not affiliated with any organization. I have love for all my Greeks, but you got to say Alpha Kappa Alpha sorority. You got to say it right, Brad.
I don't want nobody to come into my timeline talking about or anything. But AKA is just doing something very, very big. The AKA sorority has officially opened up their members-only credit union. Folks, let's see. Hey, Keena, can we get a little bit of the snatch, bro? Because this is, I made something. There we go. That's right, folks. The AKAs, the beautiful black women of the AKA sorority. The credit union is called FMO, for members only. It was created to foster greater financial prosperity for women of color and AKA members. Take a look at this, folks. This is absolutely phenomenal. It celebrated its grand opening last week and is the nation's first sorority-based financial institution to be owned and led by Black women. The FMO membership will be available to the nearly 500,000 AKA members across the globe, as well as their immediate families, sorority staff, and employees of the credit union, per the report. The National Credit Union Administration will charter, insure, and regulate the FMO operations. Big shout out to the AKAs for doing it like that. That's exactly what we have been talking about, and more importantly, what we need, Suzette, for them to open up a credit union, even though it's members only. Even though it's for members.
500,000 people.
It's huge.
As Roland Martin says, follow the money, right?
Follow the money. Yes. P. Jackson says, ski with my soul.
Come on with it.
Right. So big shout out to that. But no, this is the reason I brought this up is one, because it's fantastic news, but very quickly for two, this goes to show you the power of unity and pooling our resources. They say they've been working on this plan for years, Suzette, years. And let me just tell y'all, as much as we talk about opening a school, opening this, opening a bank is a very, very long, arduous process, because you have to make sure you get, federally insured, the FDIC and all of those agencies have to make sure that you are a credible institution to regulate people's money. And so to get this off the ground, even as a credit union, because you don't necessarily, people don't always go to banks now. People are, we handle our money in a lot of different ways. This ain't 30, 40 years ago. So for us to have a federal credit union of this magnitude owned and operated by Black women, where Black women are the members, where their families are part of it, man, this is so good for the culture. I can't wait to see more conversation. And I'm surprised. I came across a story. This thing was all the way down. Nobody's talking about the fact that this could be a sign. If AKAs can do it, what's stopping the Alphas from doing it? The Kappas from doing it? What's stopping any other Greek organization from doing this level of engagement for our people? All right, Suzette, you got the final word on this. What's your take?
Yeah, I want to say congratulations again. The movement of money and the power of the collective, as you pointed out, is what this shows. This is an exemplar for others, whether they be sororities and fraternities, or whether it be other organizations that step forward to help us to use our money. Remember what the credit union does as well. It takes the money that we deposit, depositors and banks that do that as well, and lends it to the community. So the type of loans they'll be able to give, whether it's for individuals and houses and car loans, as well as for business loans, it can have a huge imprint on the financial landscape. So congratulations, ladies. I know we're out of time, but now, the gauntlet has been thrown down for others to follow their example. This is huge. Congratulations.
Absolutely. There it is. Get the money, baby.
Let's go.
Boom. There it is right there. So big. My big shout out to the sisters and to the divine women of the AKA sorority. All right, folks. Suzette, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for walking us through this process with this case of Carlee Russell. Real quick, folks, make sure y'all go to Suzette Speaks page on YouTube, subscribe to her channel. She's a dope woman. She's talking about a lot of things. Suzette be out and about in the streets of Florida all the time.
I appreciate you. Yes, Miami in the building. Y'all come on over, follow me on all platforms. Suzette Speaks. And again, it's been a pleasure getting through that breaking news. Can't wait to go and read more about, what happens, but we'll cover it here, y'all. Don't y'all worry.
Absolutely.
Thank you for an amazing show as always, Farajii.
Thank you, Suzette. Thank you for being so good for the culture. We appreciate you. All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. I thank each and every one of you. Oh, yeah. Did we get her off? Oh, no, there she go. No,
okay,
this is
that's really
okay,
Thank you for watching.
Yeah. Suzette said, I have to say bye.
All right, appreciate y'all. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, man. All right, folks, very quickly, as we wrap up, I want to give my big shout out and thank yous to my team. I want to thank Shannon, Joel, my guy, King Keenan, for making it sound and look so good. I want to thank you, crew, for joining us for the conversation. For all of the new crew members that joined us for the discussion, welcome to the show. We hope that you enjoyed the conversation and, more importantly, that you will come back and be a part of the discussion. Big shout out to my legacy OG culture crew members for always being there, providing us. Janelle, thank you so much for that update about the presser. We truly, truly appreciate you. That's exactly why we have this show. We cover down to make sure that we have the conversations in a very big and engaging way. Folks, go to blackstarnetwork.com. Show your support for this Black-owned media space. We need your financial support, but along with that, we want you to share the information, download the app for free on all of your devices, and certainly follow us on all social media platforms. Again, that's Black Star Network. Black Star Network. Who's that guy? Oh, wrong. There we go. Boom. There we go. You can find all of the past passions of the culture on the website and so much more. BlackStarNetwork.com. Also, you can follow me on all social media platforms at The Real Farajii on Instagram, Farajii on Twitter, Farajii on Facebook, and so many other. Just tag my name. And I would love to connect with you. All right, that's going to do it for me. Stay tuned. Up next is Roland Martin Unfiltered, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, never be afraid to challenge what's wrong. Stand for what's right while being yourself in the process. God willing, we will talk tomorrow for another exciting edition of The Culture, right here, exclusively here, only here on the Black Star Network. Thank you. Peace.